forever. It's straight like this forever. It ties into other parcels down here in the same straight line. There is a monument box there for survey. His property pin is like right here for his front, and then his back property pin is over here. So the road kind of fades towards my house, and he gets a little bit more grasses as the road goes.
Okay.
But everything that I have found since I haven't stopped researching, because I can't sleep at night.
Right.
Hey, my neighbor doesn't let me sleep at night. The sheriff's in my house and everything else, and I'm up with them and try to let my family sleep. Everything I'm finding is 17th Street has been Osnaburg's property all the way to the edge of your easement, and then Michelle starts at the edge of his property.
So in your opinion, what percentage of 17th Street as a current cinder road is ours? 80%? 90%?
It's 100%. They didn't argue that down there.
Oh, they didn't argue that it was all ours.
They said per Ohio Vice Code, when you vacate a road on a line,
it doesn't matter if you own the whole road. If you vacate a road on a line, they get half.
But see, I've never read that in Ohio Revised Code that you gotta vacate half of it to one side and half to the other side. But I like where you're going. If Nimishon just write off on it, because they're not too happy with him right now either. He's getting to them as well.
Oh, there ain't nobody happy with him.
So
but
if say that happens, what would you be doing?
Well,
he would run a big old fence down the whole property.
I would finish a fence all the way down to where I legally could put the fence to keep him off of there. I would do the same here. I would not interfere with this farmer because I'm cordial with him, he's cordial with me. But I would stop that to where if he was to go around and this was private property, I could then charge him for trespassing if he decides to come down around here because it's already posted on my
if it's
property.
vacated and you own it, yes.
So that would eliminate him from doing all of that, and it's going to keep everything here.
Okay.
This neighbor here is trying to be cordial as things stay. I don't think he's going to stay cordial any longer because ever since the fence went up, he is now parking stuff over here.
Yeah.
And he's going to get tired of that very quickly.
Yeah.
He's
going to be wishing for a fence on that side.
And I'm also going to, I'm going to plant some greenery there to make a little bit taller to help block some of the noise.
Plant a row of pine trees in a couple of years, you'd be surprised how big they are.
Visual effects and arborvitae's grow pretty quick, and we can plant them side by side.
So when we first talked about this, I thought that the pin was in the middle of the street. What you're saying is that Osnaburg could very well own all of 17.
All of 17.
Something at the county concerned them that what they were looking at is they said when they in order to vacate it,
you'd have to survey.
It has to be surveyed.
Absolutely.
And they said it could go the other way.
Right.
But we could get the would
it hurt to even survey it to know for sure before you decide anything else? Is that something you guys could request for the county to do, is to survey it? To have it surveyed for whatever reason? And then
they're not going to do a property survey for you.
No, just
a survey of 17th. What would that cost? Do we know? I'm looking at you just because I don't know if you've done it before.
I mean,
We've not had anything. I don't know if the county will survey for us.
I mean, if I can get it okay with you guys and through the county, I could get a private surveyor to do it.
Well, you just have to watch that you're using a survey that they'll accept. And
yeah, you don't want to spend your money and then they'll be like, oh, we got to survey it again anyway. Yeah.
Well, let's say
I
that.
would go into the county and talk to Dan Halpin and ask him who he would recommend to use anyhow. Because he's the
he wants to hold up.
He's the head surveyor.
But I think you need to talk to there are lawyers that are specifically township lawyers and that know Ohio Vice Code. And probably answer the question, what Randy's saying, that they're going to split it. They could probably answer that. That's really a key for you.
That's huge. That's a kingpin of this whole thing.
Before you do anything, you need to do that. And there are lawyers specifically that are township lawyers. And if you call down to the state, Ohio Township Association, they can probably give you one.
I mean, he's also got to accept that they blocked this off to put.
I can't believe you let them do that.
I'm sure he didn't really.
I'm sure he fought it.
But he's only 132 foot wide. So if you take 50 foot, he couldn't.
Oh, he'd be in the middle of his house.
So this would have to all be landscaped and maintained to be presentable. So he's also put entrance signs here to stop people from coming down here because I think the people that have come down here down there at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, they're stuck on my property. I think they realized that I don't like that guy because I was not very nice to them. I gave them a very short time frame to be unstuck from my yard, and you believe what people will do. I mean, physically, they'll pretty much pick up their vehicles and put it back on the road.
So where does the fence start at out there and how far does it go back?
So,
Just past the house.
yeah, it goes right off the corner of this house here.
You put a
All the
corner
way
in.
back, and then it's just shy of the back of his garage here where
Why
it
does it
stops.
go off the corner of the house?
He made the turn here. I don't know if it was a visual thing from people going down the road, but
He tied it to the
the
side of the
whole
house.
thing was
though.
my complaint, and yet the visual thing is still right here.
He's
that-
still going around it.
Yeah, he's going off of our road onto somebody else's property.
If he
to
would
get
have put a
back onto his
dog,
property.
if he would have put a dog leg on the fence on the backside and tied it back into his building and wouldn't go around it at all, we probably wouldn't be here.
But the thing is,
He
that
wouldn't
farm
have
I'm
field,
gonna block him off from that.
So
hey,
I,
Cliff, that farm field, the property line is only probably not even 5-8 feet off the back of his garage.
they till right up to it.
Well, no.
They gotta make a corner. with it.
He's mowing out there into his field, trying to make it look like it's his yard.
That
I got
farmer's property line is just off the back of these buildings.
The whole way.
Maybe a foot or two. So for years and years and years.
There was no setbacks.
They have always, these neighbors here have always mowed this and kind of maintained it. Over the time, this farmer has got a little tired of his stuff because he has a big pile of trash pile
Stuff.
that's been burning, that's been slowly creeping out.
Figuring out.
Well, this last plow, that farmer, he went straight here and then made his turn. I think he kind of was
Pushing it back.
pushing them back like, hey,
Yeah.
because he was hanging vehicles out where the farmer was having.
Right. I bet he didn't
Well,
like that.
But before we talk about surveys and things like that, I mean, I know we've had this conversation many times and you've been in a few times. Are we on the understanding that if we can get this road vacated, we would? I think that's a valid conversation now, because we don't want to spend a bunch of time and resources.
I think if you block from the end of his fence to the field.
Yeah, here, but I'd also like to block the rest of this because, and make this a private.
Well, you have to put a private drive sign because people are
Business
still coming
people
in.
Are still coming down here and trying to turn around.
Yeah.
When I'm not home, people are still coming down here and turning around because for years, he sent everybody down this. Everybody down this.
Yeah, got it.
Everybody down this. And so people still are trying to do it, or they're coming this way and they miss it, and then they come in here thinking they can get there. So just using this to turn around. or
Now
whatever.
you get the fence across there.
Yeah, now the turnaround here.
They're
Yeah.
still
Okay.
coming down. All of his parts runners come down there.
Right.
All of his UPS, FedEx, everybody comes down there.
Mhm.
And this is where they stop, right here.
Yeah, because they used to be able to pull into the drive.
I can't believe he didn't get absolutely steaming mad about the
Oh,
fence
sure.
because
Sure.
look how mad he was just about 2 signs that were on
Yeah,
our property.
yeah.
I'm sure he did.
Now the fence is the whole way across that driveway to stop you from going in there.
Zoning code. He can either went 50 foot or been 6 foot off.
Well, they must have made him, he must have made them upset enough that they said enough of this.
They finally realized that
Yeah.
this came to me. This wasn't present when I moved in there. I've been there for 10 years. He's been there for 3.
Yeah.
And then he's only had a business for 2. So
Yeah.
it's not- he
Look
didn't
what
even
he's
have it
doing.
right away.
They're gonna make it vacate. They're gonna want to vacate it all the way through.
Yeah, right. They're not gonna let you vacate just the first section.
So you're saying that they're gonna want to vacate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
Now,
can vacate
and
the
I've
whole thing.
understood too, that with the vacation of the road, there's a power pole here that transfers power to him, cable to him, power and cable to me. I understand that there's gotta be an easement clause in addition with that to allow the utility companies to have access to that, which I'm perfectly fine with. I get it. Why would I block them off from
Right.
fixing power to my
That's
home?
right.
Well,
Can you- Brian, can you zoom out on that picture?
So. with
How
that,
far over does 17th go?
Everything I understand all the way over to
To the
Lutz.
next road.
Okay.
So
I was just gonna put on the auditor's website that you can see that line going across there.
everything that I understood is you can vacate however many feet you want. And that's my understanding.
But it goes through the county. They won't let us do it.
They won't
Because
just
they
let
want
you
to, if
vacate
you're gonna
600 feet.
do it, they don't want to make a mess down the road.
I got you.
Yeah. So, but we're only getting tax dollars on the section
Right.
that's plowable,
360.
That's right.
That's
right? So we're not getting tax dollars on the woods,
No,
even though there's easement.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a paper road.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
360.
So if we were to vacate, would we vacate sections of different owners?
That's not, I'm just telling you, when they do it, we've done it before.
Yeah.
We did it down there with Dave, just down the road. We did.
Oh, it's a woodshed.
No, not the woodshed.
Dave.
The one that owns Grandma Tammy's in East Canton, Dave,
Off of Plots there.
28.
Oh.
2811.
Okay.
there was a bunch of they bought a bunch of parcels and it
2011.
cleaned it up.
That one,
You're
they
talking about
surrounded
15?
all around it.
Right,
Mhm.
15th or something there.
The 2815 is the neighbor, so it still should come up.
No, it's right down back there by where the asphalt guy lives.
So what you're saying is if you vacate the road on paper, you gotta vacate the whole thing per,
Right, they're not gonna, they won't want
There
that.
it
He
is.
told me what it was for. He said if you
There's your
vacate
line
this,
right
you're
there.
There's your lines.
So, and I mean, if that's what we gotta do, I have no problem paying the taxes for that. I'm not gonna hound the farmer for any of that. I'm not gonna change what he's doing. I'm not gonna change any of that. If these people here ever decided that they want to do something in these two parcels that end up landlocked, I would be more than happy to reparcel this, if that's the case, sell them this so they can put a drive from here to here, which then doesn't interfere anybody's frontage of their house. Like, yeah, it would interfere with the frontage of my
Well,
house.
if we vacated the road doesn't go to you, only the piece that's on your property. Those other parcels,
Would just go to those people.
go to those
it goes to
parcels.
those
Yeah, well,
people.
that's, okay.
Which is easier for you in the future,
Yeah, that's.
right?
Yeah,
But
You don't pay taxes on it.
Like I'm just saying, I'm all.
Yeah, it would vacate to all those parcel
Right.
numbers.
So,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
And then it would
Yes.
vacate to the farmer on the other side if it was split,
Right.
right?
Which, yeah, but
If it, if they,
that's,
yeah.
right. I think that would go to these.
those,
Because
yeah, on that
this is-
side.
From my understanding, this line here is your Osnaburg line.
Oh, the north line.
Yes.
The north line is
I believe
awesome.
that is-
Are them parcels owned by different people?
These two parcels back here,
Yeah.
these are the original parcels off the people I bought my home from.
Oh, wow.
They kept these two parcels due to the fact that
That's
we're out here and kept.
you see the two parcels there above the, no, up, go your way, towards you.
Oh,
towards
these-
you.
these
Those
two?
two parcels become landlocked if we vacate that.
No,
road.
these are mine.
They all do. There's no road there. That's why.
These two would be landlocked because these are not mine.
But those are yours. Those two back ones are yours.
But these, yes. these
Those
two
are yours.
back
And then the
mine,
ones below your finger are
and then
those.
these are mine too.
And then how about below that?
Nope.
That one belongs to that house, that one belongs to that house.
This house
And then what
belongs
about
to
the ones
this
there,
house.
Brian, right there?
These belong to this house.
Okay.
They may not let us.
They may make you put that all into one parcel.
Right.
They make you combine all,
All of mine?
and if it leaves something landlocked, they're not gonna let us.
It's
do it.
all, it's them two long ones
See,
that are
these
gonna
ones
be.
here would be landlocked.
How
That's
about
all.
Where
those?
do they belong to now?
They belong to the original people that I bought the house from. He is no longer here. I do believe it's the, I think.
Gregory
They're
Bates.
not here. I think, yeah, the Bates, I think they gave it to one of the children. I could be wrong on that, but
And then do you think the other
I
two
can find
parcels?
out because this lady here knows them still and
Okay.
talks to them still.
Yeah,
How about the other two parcels, the 3706, those two? Do
These
those-
go to this guy here. That's a
Oh.
horse pasture.
Oh, okay, they attached to that, so that wouldn't be landlocked. Okay.
What's the road back here?
This is, what is that, Klotz? And it stops here, which you still have an easement that goes north, on a different map. There's an easement that goes up to the north there.
But you gotta look though, it might not, depending on who owns, see, there's parcels below that. See the south parcels?
So this
It might not be landlocked if
this
those,
is 15th Street. I do believe this is 15th Street, here,
that's another,
which is that guy.
Paper
the
road.
Shed, which is another.
No, that road, well, no, there's a road there.
Yeah, this
Where's
is-
Effinger right there?
Right.
This is 15th Street, so that would not be landlocked if we ever. Cause
Yeah.
that's still public road there.
There is
You guys-
no road.
There's no road.
You guys don't
there, but it's
maintain it.
on
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
paper road.
There is right here. This is the oil well road that goes back to this property right here. So
Right.
there is an oil well that is,
so who owns that strip?
are those parcels the same on both sides of that strip?
I was gonna say, do the owners own both?
these,
No,
No,
up and down.
over.
these,
Those,
Those are all owned by
Go towards,
Joe,
Brian.
Joe Hicks.
they're all owned by
Yeah.
Joe. Yep, there you go, Joe Hicks. All of them all the way back?
He owns them all.
He owns them all, okay.
yeah, he owns two, I believe, back in,
I
no,
think
back in here.
Does he own the two up above it?
These two, no, this
Okay.
gentleman here does.
Which is, that's the problem.
So this gentleman here, so then this is an oil well road, and the oil wells are over here,
That's probably, looks like that because they have an easement for the oil well lane.
probably.
Is probably why we see the line.
Yeah, those parcels actually come together.
They
Yeah.
probably touch. They probably
It's an
touch.
easy-
Yeah,
Which is not
Okay.
a road. The Oval Lane would never be a road. It's just an easement.
yeah. But this is all questions we have to ask, right?
Well, and that's why I was assuming if we could just vacate to the back of my property, and then you're not landlocking these, because then you still have a paper road to here. And
Well,
everything that I
that would
read
be
and
the
understand-
question at the county, if we could only vacate a portion of it so that parcels don't become landlocked.
And that's,
I don't know that.
So-
And you need to talk to a township lawyer who specializes in this. That's where you're, other than that,
You
you're
guys
just
are
getting
Lexington
people's
Township get
opinions.
away with it.
I wouldn't do a survey or anything. That's who I would talk to.
I mean, are you guys okay? I don't wanna go get a lawyer and then come to you guys and you're like, well, why did you get a lawyer?
Yeah, no.
So-
That this comes back to my question that I already asked. Would we vacate 17th if we could legally? That's the question. Well, would you
I
vacate?
don't have a problem. with it.
No,
Would you vacate?
I don't have a problem with, but let's say that the county's right and you lose
Half of that
half or
road.
more.
Well, that's what I'll make.
Then we
kind of
decide.
Black and white prior to that.
That's why
Yeah,
you
then
need
we
to go to
decide,
the
right,
attorney first.
yeah.
And the other thing is, the only reason I wouldn't vacate is because it's gonna landlock those two
And
parcels.
yes, and I understand that. And that's why I assumed that we could just vacate to my property line here.
Yeah, why can't they come from the other
And
end?
they can come from that way, which then
It's
I was thinking,
possible.
then if
It
they,
goes the whole
somebody
way
ever
through.
did something here, they're not going in front of my house, which is like 25 feet.
Yeah.
And they could have a driveway off of here, which then is not really disrupting anybody's homestead living with a driveway right next to their house. Because there's nothing here that would interfere with a driveway or a home compared to what a driveway here would be to come back to this.
So when you guys say county, all the roads would go, like, none of this is regional planning, even though it's zoning.
Regional planning gives their opinion on it, but it's not
Really,
law.
it's gotta be county. The
Regional-
county engineer is gonna tell you if we can do this or not.
Everything I read
Uh-huh.
under the Ohio
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got a person there that works through the prosecutor's office.
But
Okay.
you just need to save your money, go find a township lawyer, present this one that can answer your questions. Because if you're gonna go to the county and you want them to do a partial vacate, you're gonna have to use somebody like that anyway.
and everything I've read, I don't need to go to the county, I need to go to you guys and you to sign
We don't vacate.
The county, we have to go to the county to do it.
you just present it to them. And if they don't
And-
even accept it, you can still vacate the land. It's ultimately still your decision.
That's not what they say.
That's not what they say, and I understand.
But I mean, that's who we have to work with.
Maybe they're not telling the truth either.
Wow.
Well, a
But
lot
I
of
don't
people
I don't
say
agree
things
with
and don't know the
Brenda.
law.
Brenda, you need to get an attorney and find out.
Well, and I think a good attorney could look at this map that we're looking at right now and could tell you, yep, that's doable. Or nope,
Right.
nope, you're
Right.
landlocked. You know, I mean, they're gonna tell you, better than us. We're not.
And then he should also be able to answer the question, if our border is that upper line, do you get the whole road? Because that's the key for you.
That's
Do
key,
you
that's
get
key.
the whole road?
That's
If
key.
you don't.
I can understand saying
I mean,
that if you try to do vacate it, that they get half and we get half, if they were helping maintain half that road. But it isn't, it's on us.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I
also
get
told
that.
you that you couldn't block that driveway off, and then Michelle just did it a week and a half.
Well, that doesn't mean it's legal.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't mean they're legal.
They could have something in their zoning that allows them to do that.
Yeah, I'm not
Am I
saying
gonna say
either way. I'm
slap
just
up
saying
with
that
I don't
it's,
know.
Well,
by rights, I don't know, you can't block somebody onto a road.
He still has access to it.
They did what we wanted to do and
Yeah,
said we
right.
wasn't allowed to do,
right,
and they did it to him.
yeah. We just asked permission prior and they said no, and I think they
We probably just didn't talk to the right person.
I think the next step is looking into the vacation of the road and see where that lands.
See that line we're talking about? I can fade out, but that looks like the township line, that main line going over to where Justin's at.
And it's north. It's absolutely north. It's on the north side of that. Absolutely
all the
it
way
is.
through.
All the way through.
That is,
Yep.
Going clear over.
Now, these
through.
lines aren't perfect, but
no, they're not.
They're
But
but
pretty
they're
darn
close. They're pretty darn close.
I've also
They
seen-
never questioned whether the road was in us
They,
or
I
not.
see, yeah,
They just said that was when you vacate a road between the two townships, half goes one way and half goes the other way, and they said,
And that
once it's
doesn't,
surveyed,
that's not right. Not when the whole road's
well,
on
it don't
us.
matter what is, that's what it is. The road could possibly have drifted over time. They said when it's legally, the legal whatever boundaries are found, they said that you could possibly, it could come to the point where you could maybe 10 feet off of your porch, off of where you are. And that's, are you willing to take that chance?
I know for a fact where this guy's property line is on the south side, right here, to the north of your guys' road,
Mhm.
on the south side of his property to the north of your road.
So you-
And I know for a fact that zoning guy worked with the county zoning guy to make sure that those pins were right when he zoned his property 2 years ago. And those pins are still present.
That very well could be. I'm not saying that's not. I'm just saying that's the information they provided to me.
Maybe somebody wouldn't tell you the full truth either.
No, they
Think
don't,
they know what
they
they're
don't know
talking
where
about.
the pins are. Nobody's been
But
out.
what his comment was is a road over time, a cinder road over time, what they're saying is,
Simple.
and obviously you're not gonna do anything. No one's gonna do anything until there's a survey, if we get to that point, to know what we're talking about.
It could be the other way too.
It could be the other way too.
Right.
Yeah, you could come back and they could say, hey, that fence that neighbor just put up, we own the other side, you gotta pull that fence up. Who knows?
My tough scenario with this is there's a lot of surveys out there that don't want to survey government property. So it's gonna be very hard to get a surveyor to come out there and do that. Can you guys put a leg in to try to help to see if the county would survey it for you? I don't know, does the county charge you for that? Because for me to go get a private entity to survey a government property is gonna be.
That's not the question it needs answered. The question needs answered is if it's vacated, do you get full to the property line?
Yeah.
Or do you lose half of it? That's what needs to be answered first. Then you decide which way you want to go.
Which at that point, then a lawyer or an attorney at that point should know the legal right to that.
Yeah.
They would-
And then you can have conversations.
It has to be a township attorney, though, not just any attorney.
And then you can have conversations of survey of, yes, you have to give half of it to the other side and maybe much.
Let me rephrase, an attorney who practices township law. There's that one guy over at, over in Alliance here in Marlboro, that is a trustee, but also an attorney.
Oh, really?
What's his name?
Cheshire or something like that.
What's his name, Brian? Over where they,
For Marlboro?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to have my book out to remember all them guys' names.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that book with me.
He's a trustee also?
Yeah.
Which
What, the little
township?
township book?
Is it Lexington?
Lexington?
I think it's his first
It's over
name's
where they
Craig.
have that, make those.
Bauman? Or,
Like pressure, something like that.
Trying to see if I have the book on there.
You got the newest one? Vernon got it. Now we got the 22, 23 one.
Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Because the new ones are making them right now for 20.
He's probably in there though, depending on the term.
Which one was you looking at, Marlboro?
Or Lexington. It's
Lexington?
this guy right
Yeah,
here,
that's the
What's his
attorney.
name?
James Matthews.
Yep, Matthews.
Actually, we'll give you a copy
Why
of
don't
his
you,
book.
we'll give you a copy. I was gonna say you can take a picture of it if you want, or you can give you a
And
copy.
he specializes in township law.
Did you find him? Circle him. There you go.
Right there, James Matthews.
James Matthews. And if he can't do it, he can probably tell you who could. But that's all he does.
So, another lead for me.
And he works for other townships. So he's a trustee over there, but works for other townships. So use that. and
Man, you were probably feeling good when that fence went up, weren't you? And then he still goes around it.
Especially
I'm
across
sorry.
that driveway.
Yeah.
I
I thought you were
didn't
feeling
know
good
that.
when that fence started going, like, oh my gosh, finally.
No, he just drives clear back
Yeah, he just
fast and
drives around
around.
Well, and probably the other annoying part is I would assume, however this lands, a private drive sign at the end of your driveway is probably
I think
money.
a gate-
Too bad,
You'll probably have to put a gate up for a while.
too bad that
Because
you
it's not
can't
gonna
talk to the
disappear from
farmer
GPS, that's the
and
problem.
get him to say, hey,
For a while.
don't
Yeah,
come
yeah.
down there and around on my
That's not-
property, get on your property.
Yeah, that would be annoying for people. I mean, now the fence is up. Every time someone drives down, they turn around to your driveway.
Tell the guy
Too bad
that,
you can't talk to that farmer and get him to say, hey, no more coming around the fence on my property.
Right, and the problem is the farmer knows who he is too.
Yeah, he knows what he's dealing with.
I'm not trying to involve anybody to get to the
Okay.
mix if they don't need to, it's not their battle, so
Tell
But I'm with
the,
you. I'm with you.
tell the attorney that we recommended that you talk with him and that it sits on the line between two townships and you have questions that you need answered. You might be able to just email him and he could answer the questions.
Parcel numbers, yeah. We can
So,
do just what we're doing.
Pursue that.
so ask him those questions. He's real nice.
Okay.
He should be able to answer some for you.
Cool, I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
So, thank you guys.
So once you
Appreciate
get those answers, it'll tell us more where to go.
I will follow.
All right, bud. Thank you.
And also ask him if you can do the partial vacate.
Yeah, that's a good
Just-
question
Just the
too.
property line. That
Yeah.
way, that way we're not landlocked.
Yeah,
I don't
right,
wanna
right, right.
landlock that, Because that's just another headache on the road.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
With easements and.
Yep.
So,
Good. All right.
all right.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right.
Trustee, I don't know if you noticed, everything came up.
Oh, we're back on.
So we're back, we were
Great.
back on for the last half hour.
Let's go to the fire report.
Okay. I will start in the middle. So the foam was repaired on 241. That's something that's been out of service since before I was the chief. Captain Adams was able to repair it. It needed a new solenoid and 2 check valves. So he was actually able to repair that for less than it cost us to have Advantech look at it and say, we don't know. So that is repaired. However, on Thursday, there was some damage to the front of 241, to the front bumper. We did open an OTARMA claim on that. Fallsway is coming out at 9 o'clock on Thursday to look at it. We just want to make sure the plumbing underneath is fine. It's our front draft line. So Fallsway is going to come out and look at it and give us an estimate on fixing the bumper. As far as I can tell, it's just the bumper, but I am the wrong person to make that decision. So they're going to look at that.
Do you know if this claim stays open until we get an estimate? Is that how that works? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It stays open until they do the final.
Until we get an estimate. And they ask us to get estimates. Our tower doesn't come out, right?
No.
We get third-party estimates? Okay. Okay.
The rep that the claim adjuster will work with.
Okay. Do we have to have 3? Or no?
No.
Okay, great. Okay. I want to go on record here real quick and thank Dan Adams for all the wrenching and figuring he's willing to do. He saves the township a lot of money by being willing to tackle it. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Wherever you are.
I was sitting here thinking, what they get paid as a firefighter, he gets home a lot more as a mechanic.
Yeah, right. He's able to fix it. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah, good job, Dan.
And then the last one I had was a question. So I had talked with Fiscal Officer Lowry on Friday some. So we have the capital fund for the fire truck with the $230,000 that we need to do something with because it's at that life expectancy. And I was curious about putting that in a fund where we could get interest on that amount of money that's sitting there. So I was wanting to have some conversation on that possibility of at least putting that much money in some kind of an interest-bearing account. I know that has a lot to do with what we are legally allowed to do and not, and what we can do with that interest money, but I know that's quite the sum to be sitting there.
Amy, as far as I got so far, all capital funds, they have to be worded to start up to draw interest on separate, but that $230,000 is part of the whole budget that's in the sweep account.
Right.
It is drawing interest along with everything else. It's all part of that.
It is.
Now, what happens is you can't take the interest because the vocabulary of it right now and put it towards each one of these, like the road truck or an ambulance. It has to stay that way. We can still get interest on the main money in the general fund. It makes it easier for these 3 trustees to say, if there's a project or something, I'll use some examples I found in 2013, 2017, that money can be brought in, like such as the state tax came in 2013 was 200 and some thousand. The trustees at that time divvied that up between all these capital funds. That was unlevied money. The money the part of that money that's in there now is levied money. Now, with that being said, I was working on that. That's been 10 years. It has to be closed out or something done to reword it And I know the trustees wanted to keep it in some form of capital fund. But with everything going on here from December to January, I didn't get that final answer. You are getting interest on that along with your fire money that was in there or any monies there, along with every other department and every other fund. But it all goes to the general fund except for a small portion of the road that, when I say this, there's outside millage and there's inside millage.
Yeah.
The inside millage road funds do get some interest because they're inside. You don't have that situation with the fire department. Okay? Now, Ohio Revised Code governs what you can put interest on.
Right.
So back years ago and through time, all that interest went into the general fund that these three trustees, whoever's in here, like say, and I'll use an example like your door project.
Yep.
They could say, Brian, I know we're running tight in the fire, but can we pull money out of the general fund to get that door fixed, for example? They can do that. I'm going to go back to the example. When we did the roof on the fire station, we did the parking lot now twice while I've been in office. We use general fund money to do that, but it's under resolution by the trustees. It wasn't all paid all out of fire every time. So any additional repairs or emergencies or anything have been paid that probably far exceed what the capital fund would have drawn on interest, because the capital fund in 2017 became 230,000 and it has never increased since then.
Right.
Prior to that, you know, the different chunks of change that went in there, up to that time, I don't want to say it was coming in different ways through estate money came in that went all into the general fund, and trustees at that time put it in that capital fund.
Are we,
Now moving forward, once I figure out for sure how the trustees could help with this $230,000 to secure it for another either 5 years or 10 years, maybe there's something could be put in the wording to make that we can put the interest into that. I don't know. I was
So, Brian,
told by the Ohio Revised Code at initial cost, or initially, the Ohio Revised Code is very clear on what you can get interest on and not. And I haven't got to all that, Amy. You just talked to me on the phone driving back from Columbus on Friday. All these government offices are closed over the weekend. I need to talk to local government. I do have an email to her, and she said she'll be getting back to me. Because I want to make sure I give you accurate information for your staff and you, along with the trustees in the future when this 230,000, if we're able to put it and re-put it back into another capital fund. But there's a process I have to do.
so Brian, when money comes in and it's not specifically earmarked, like it would be an endowment, like the trust that we have, things like that. Any interest that's gained generally stays in a general fund. When we say we're going to put 10,000 or 20,000 into a fund for the fire truck, sometimes that money is coming from general fund. It's not coming from your fire.
Sometimes.
So it doesn't make sense that you would take the interest and put it back in the fire. It should go back to the general fund because the money's coming from there. Unless you had specifically, like the levy money that's raised, we could take that because that is fire specifically only and put it in a fund where it gained its own interest.
And that you're hitting the nail on the head.
But it already does do that.
No.
If there was a levy on that said we're going to do so much money for a capital fund for a future fire truck, that can be worded, what you just
no,
said.
but
to
that's
be
not what we
interest.
just said. That's different money. We just stated that the new money coming in from the levy, wait a second. The money that comes into the township as a whole, we're saying the fire department cannot gain interest. So if we're saying that the new money that the levy just passed can gain interest, we're contradicting ourselves, right?
That's not what we said.
No,
the
no,
first
no.
thing.
but the money coming in is gaining interest, but it goes into the general fund and we choose to where that money goes.
You all.
Right,
can
That's what we're
decide,
doing
yes.
currently. That's what we're doing
You
currently.
all could go and say, hey, you could say, Brian, transfer 5,000 over into the cemetery. Because that has happened in the last, even before
right.
my time. you could say, hey, we need some help over in the fire department to get a door or get something done.
Right.
You three could say, Brian, do we have funds to do that? And I would say yes, because
Yeah.
if we have.
Well,
a good
and we've
deal-
done that in the past because
Yeah.
we're having to pull money out of our general fund to support fire and EMS.
So
And
It
so
has
we
happened.
don't take it back. I mean, because we're all
Yeah.
one thing.
yeah, we do.
So yeah.
It'll
it
be
goes
paid back.
We
Yes, it
pay
will.
back.
It's not one thing. It's all
The transfer.
No.
by law. It has to come out of different
No,
account.
a transfer.
But we are,
We're not-
It will absolutely.
but the
come back.
money's,
We're
not- the
buying
money
things.
is not just sitting there, it is gaining interest.
Yes,
It's
every
every,
money.
So-
every dollar.
Oh,
When you
But,
look,
I mean,
when you look at that balance on your treasurer's report, there's $1 million plus in there. That's gaining interest as a whole, not individually.
Right.
I have to show to the auditor where I'm putting it, and it's mostly 92% of it's going back in the general fund. The reason why, there's Ohio Revised Code that speaks on behalf of how that money's supposed to be interest bearing. You can't go and say, well, we're going to decide to do interest in every, like the fire fund, every fund. You can't just go break it up that way, because every time you would be doing something that you want to use that, you'd have to get that chunk of money certified. It's easier to put it, and the rule, I shouldn't say easier, the Ohio Revised Code said, put it in the general fund. You can pull money out of the general fund, you three, I mean, through resolution
We
to
can
help
take and
anything.
award money out of the general fund to whatever we want.
But you can put,
But you can't take money that's one pot growing interest and start splitting up and say, I'm putting this much interest here, this much here, this much there. You don't do that.
No, because sometimes you might need to fix something at the fire, sometimes you might need to fix something here, sometimes you might need to fix something at the cemetery. You don't know where you're gonna.
But if we, because this levy passed, I don't know how the levy money's coming in. If we got,
It's coming in just like the regular, it's coming in.
is it mixed in?
It's mixed in, but
Then you can't separate
it's coming in the same way as the,
but you could take a chunk of money that's in general fund and put it into this capital account
yes,
And
after.
we do that all the
you
time.
can do that.
Well,
We've
we haven't
that all
done,
the
we haven't
time.
done a penny into that account since 2017. So we don't do that. all the
Before
time.
that, it was coming.
Well,
from
into other
Yeah.
capital
Right.
accounts.
So I guess
Not
what I'm
that
saying
far
is, if
away.
you look at just the engine alone, 230, it hasn't moved in 7 years, right? So that 230 has made interest in 7 years, right?
It has.
Sure,
in
of
the
course it
state,
has. It's made
it's
interest every year for 7 years. So you could allow this interest to grow and put it back in from the general fund as a transfer if you wanted that account to build. That's just what I'm saying. Like, if you're looking at a project and we're saying, well, we don't have enough money for an engine.
Well, think of it this way, Trustee
Right.
Barron. You could say, Brian, how much interest did we get from 2017 to now?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be interest, it would be from the general fund as
Sure.
a transfer.
Right. That's what,
Okay.
right.
Because if you want to put a dollar amount on that, you could say, yeah, we want to go ahead and put another 5 or 10 grand
Okay.
and make that 240,000 or whatever you may want to decide. But that's what we've been doing. That's how that money gets in there. Some of it, not all of it, some of it.
And even though we didn't put it into the fire truck, we were putting it into the ambulance fund
Right.
where we were,
Sure.
so we were putting it in fire. and
I'm
EMS.
just more building an education on great example. If I walked into Jackson Township and their budget's, 10 times
33
ours,
million.
10 times ours, their interest is huge.
Yeah.
So they can't gain interest they cannot
Here-
gain interest.
Here's something else to
Yeah, but
throw
their
into the
equipment
pot.
is not big.
Jackson, these big townships,
Yeah.
they have, we, in the township, the accounting is what's called regulatory that we're on. And I think
Okay.
out of 1,300 townships, I think over 900 are regulatory,
Okay.
which means that's an easy way of accounting. Those are on gas fees, where they have a crew of people working in an office
Mhm.
that they're funneling that money around, and they can do that, but they have to account for every single
Okay.
move.
So legally, a capital fund can gain interest legally
It is
It-
gaining in.
It
in
is,
its own account.
All the time they're in sweep accounts.
it's not in its own
It
account.
can't in its own account. See, this is the
It can't-
difference.
It can't in its own account because of that's on paper. Think of that, 230.
Right. Yeah, it's on paper. Oh, I get it. Yeah.
But it's gaining interest
Mhm.
and
No,
put in
sure.
the general
See,
fund.
you take all the money that we have, anything that we have now, it's gaining interest.
Oh, absolutely.
But it all goes into the general.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, the money is technically the trustees to do
Mhm.
whatever needs to be done.
My question is can you legally let that account gain interest in a capital fund? And you can,
You want to
as-
see it gain.
as long as you've got the team to be able to separate it out and put it back in. Right.
It's a different concept of
A
accounting.
different concept. Okay,
And
I'm
you
just
have to
curious.
have a team, just like you say, these big
Yeah.
townships have that such team in
It-
place.
it-
But
ends
you would
in
be,
the
it would
general
be,
fund,
for
and
our
you have to
side, it
split
would
out,
be
put
easier to
whatever
say
you got
at
back
the end of the
Right,
year,
yeah,
and say
you have to
this
do the
amount of
math.
money made
Yeah.
this much interest,
Mhm.
we're gonna transfer in $5,000.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
That
You
would
have
be
to
a
do the
lot
math.
It's a lot easier for your life.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not only me, but it's a chunk of money that you would all three agree, just like you agree if you were gonna help out the fire, the cemetery, or
Yeah.
put it towards a
Yeah,
capital
if you
fund.
just, if you said, all right,
Yeah.
we gained 4% this year, so
Right.
take 230 times 4%.
And you put it in there.
That's what we
Yeah,
need.
I get it. I get you. No, I'm just getting educated on it because I don't know all the rules. I'm just
And
curious.
keep in mind, I'm not saying I know this down to a fact, because Amy, when she asked me, I knew there was a rule about interest in capital funds, a
Okay.
rule about outside millage versus inside millage. And there is a rule on that, and I have to I'd like to have more help so I can do it. I can't have somebody out there just say, well, I
Yeah,
get bank
I get you.
interest and I know how this works. It's
Right.
not like it. It's governmental.
Right.
You think of it too, trustees, when you have an outside voted on levy, that vote was approved to use that money for every aspect of whatever it is, such as the fire levy, okay? The fire levy, the new one and the existing one, is used for everything that's worded in that levy. It don't say anything about interest. It says everything about how it's to be used.
Mhm.
Okay, now with that being said, you always have a 10 to 20% carryover to start your next year.
Mhm.
Usually if you're using it as fast as it's coming in, which usually that's what's gonna happen, you don't really get all that much interest if you separate it all out and say, well, we had this 100,000 here, we had 50,000. It's better to put it in the big pot,
Okay.
put it in the
The
sweep account.
compounding's greater.
Yeah, you get more interest, and it gives you the power if you have a situation such as the door up at the fire station. You say, hey, look, I know we're tight in the fire until our new levy money comes in. Let's go ahead and get this door fixed. You
Okay.
trustees can make that decision.
Okay. Moving on. We fixed the air compressor in the fire department, so that's complete. Thanks to the Puro Farm for letting us borrow theirs for a while. And it's back together and running.
So what did you have to do
We
then?
welded the plate on the motor, had the motor checked. So we had $35 on that. We had $10 in a quart of oil
And $19 in a bill.
and $19 in about 35, 10, and 19. Need some time. So we're back functioning, and I have Amy giving me a call if anything doesn't work right, because we just fired it up and left. So, but we got the system all aired out. So, now that we've talked about fixing the door, before we move on, I'd like to talk about it again. As we were coming in and out of it today, it's rusty enough that it sticks.
Do you have, do we have
It's
12
12.
on
It
it?
was 1200.
Well, I have that, but I don't have it with me right here. So
I don't either.
I know it was 13 to
I think it was
$1,500 range.
1500 is plenty.
That's
And-
to replace.
And
Replace
then
the steel door.
We were doing that in-house, I
And
think.
Dan was gonna do it if he's still willing to. I'd like to move to replace the steel door at the fire department out of the general fund. That was my motion.
I'll second it. I used the door twice.
It's
Terrible. It sticks.
completely
It's bad.
rotten.
It's bad shape. It looks bad. It's not good.
Up to
Up
$1,500.
to 1500, yeah.
Regular vote, or you want a roll call vote?
That's your call. You can-
Roll call.
Roll call, Griffith,
Yes,
Varian.
Yes.
Piro.
Yes.
Do you need anything more on that, Brian, or would you be able to pull that old
I
quote?
just gotta get that old, I
Okay.
know I got it in one of the
All right.
minutes
Let
when
us know
you
if
got
you
it
need
in there, and then I just pull it out, and he might open it up, and there might be a tad more or something.
Yeah, right. I think 15 covers us though, so.
Yeah.
Amy, you have anything else?
I do not.
do you have to order that door?
Did we have to order it? Yeah.
Dan works Wednesday, so I'll
And
ask.
Dan,
Okay.
I
Where
would
does
say,
it come in
was
from?
Dan,
It's coming from-
was Dan doing that online purchase? I can't remember. how.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I think
online.
Home
It's
Depot,
a
though.
all steel
Yeah.
door from a
If
big
he-
box store.
If he wants to reach out to me, I'm off Wednesday and then
Okay.
Friday.
Okay.
Maybe I can go ahead and put it on our
Is that going to need?
credit card,
Okay.
and then talk to the company about tax exempt right off the bat, so we don't.
If he does, if you want
You
to,
might want to.
if he calls McCloak and Lumber, he will, they will most likely deliver it. And I'll bet you it'll be cheaper and better quality.
Okay, what was the,
McQuilkin,
Where's that at?
Homeworth.
McQuilkin lumber. Amy, do you remember?
If he won't, if he can get it and won't deliver it, we go through there all the time. I'll pick it up and bring it to you.
Do you remember if it came primer? Do we need to
Is
paint
that
it?
just coming primer with Greg? So
We need to
you might
paint it.
want to paint it before you put it up.
I don't know the answer to that.
But painting is an ace trip and under our
With
threshold.
what's
The
the,
Rust-Oleum.
yeah, Rust-Oleum. They last forever. Put it on heavy.
Cool. Great. All right, let's move on.
Just let me know. Like I said, they're very good. If they won't deliver it, I'll pick it up and bring it to you.
Is that door handle and everything kind of fit or you need more?
The door handle will probably fit. I think door handle's still good, and it's got the right key.
I would think, yeah,
I think it's keyed correctly.
correct.
Cool. All right.
Toby.
Toby, thanks, man. I know it was long, buddy.
Either
Poor guy.
I forgot about it.
It's been so good.
Sorry, I got another kid at 4-H, I gotta go.
Okay,
pick up, so
see you.
it's one of
Thanks.
those days.
Thank you. Bye, Toby.
Cemetery.
We didn't
I
see
don't
the
have-
guys the other day.
I don't have anything for the cemetery, presently.
Road report.
It's you.
It's you.
Road.
Stewie's up. You're up.
Who's sleeping?
Good evening, everybody. The trustees have looked over the road report. Is there any questions you'd like to ask?
How much salt's in the bin? Estimate.
400, 450, I don't know.
Does it,
Did we get any more? Did you have to call for more or not?
I just got the 210 ton.
Okay.
So with what I had there and that's what you seen tonight when you drove up there.
does it smell nice and fresh and new in the new cab?
No, it's nice.
Doesn't
No
it?
chunks.
Doesn't it?
nothing.
Nice. That mini smelling new? Is
And
that mini? Does
There's
it smell
tons
new?
of grit mixed in with that.
Oh, can't get any salt on the new machine.
I might not need it.
They might not need any, right?
Yeah,
It stays like last
they
week.
took away everything tonight.
But I'll bet you will, yeah.
All right, next,
Can I talk about, and I know you talked about the new Mini, I just wanted to bring up my addition right there. I did call Atarma Insurance. That's Andy actually, who was at the show, and Wendy French, so we do have that covered. I have not received an official invoicing bill. I do have the appropriated amount that you had approved on a purchase order, so as soon as I get that, I'll prepare that document or check warrant for you all to approve. I just wanted to bring that up.
You totally removed the old one, right?
Yeah.
I
We're
figured-
verbally doing that, but I have all the, when the new stuff come in, like Stu, when they gave him like a manifest delivery, it had some basic information, but it don't have no prices on it. But I wanted to make sure what I do have is the original quote pricing, because that's the pricing I'm gonna use for the value of the original was $67,665, because that's what your insurance you would have.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But I am in the process of securing that up and let you know that. Sorry. Scott.
it's all right, thank you.
Okay.
I went out and checked our pipe inventory because the 1st of March, which is a Friday, is the open house at Marlboro for getting our pipe at discount.
Yeah.
The price actually dropped this year, believe it or not. It was like $8.20 a foot for 12-inch. Now this year's like $7.65, and he said it's probably gonna be lower than that.
Good.
So,
Well, pipe prices have been inflated beyond what it's
oh,
really worth.
exactly, for the last how many
Hopefully they
years?
do come down.
Yes, yes. So I felt like I needed to get probably 10 more pieces of the 12-inch, which would come to about $1,530. And also I thought I might as well mention while we're talking about that, because if we do get some decent weather here before we can really get to mowing or Durapatching, we could probably be out replacing some culverts. It's behind on driveway culverts and stuff like that. So if there's any way I could possibly go up and get, if they have it, about 40 ton of crushed 304 crushed concrete that we use to put in those culverts. So between those two, it would be about $2,230 that I would.
22.
But you're not going, you're waiting till you go on the 1st of March, right? Don't you get a discount that day?
Yeah, but I'm just wanting to go ahead of time and just
Approve.
try to figure out roughly what it's gonna run us.
The 40 ton of 304 is different than
So,
Marlboro.
But
Yeah.
you're gonna wait till then to buy it.
Yeah, trustees,
yes.
I suggested to Stu, when
Yes.
he got that every year, he goes up there and they kind of pin him down, then he has to come back, we do then and nows, we're
Yeah.
kind of all over the board. I said, be proactive, prepare it, that you can possibly have the trustees look over and do a blanket certificate up to a certain amount. Because Stu has an idea what he wants to get.
The 304 crush is what vendor? It's not Marlboro.
No, it's Diana's,
Okay, so
Right here in
that's
Waco.
different. Okay, Diana's is 3, and then Marlboro Supply.
which is around 1750 a ton.
Okay, all right. I'm fine approving. I mean, are you guys fine approving that to get some stuff coming so we're ready to go?
Brian, do we have money there?
Yeah, you're okay in your.
Because when he goes that day, he gets, what, at least a 10% more discount on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good discount.
So I think
Yeah.
he needs to buy
What
a
Stu?
few more pieces, not just.
Sometimes it depends on how much.
Here's my question to Stu and for you trustees. If Stu has an inventory, he can take the today's price and say what all he needs is 3,000 or 4,000. I looked at the last couple of years and it's always been $2,500 to $3,500, okay?
Okay,
If he knows that and knows what he needs roughly, say you approve up to 3,500, up to 4,000, he can go up there and if they say, hey, if you buy 2 more, we'll
I'll
give you a better deal.
Yeah.
Right.
He can
Because
make
that's
that
what
move.
happened last year.
Yeah, he could make that move for us.
So do we have enough
I told
money?
him what I wanted, and the next thing he calls me back a day or so later and says, hey, if you get 2 more sticks,
It goes cheaper.
it puts you up a little higher and you get a bigger discount.
But all that calling and all
Save us.
is done.
If we did 4,000 to Marlboro Supply, are we okay there?
Yeah,
You got the money for that?
We
yeah.
have the money for that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if we did, what's 40 ton at Dan, so it's
About 700 for 40 tons.
700?
You're okay on your 304 crush. That's part of the nut.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve up to 4,000 for him to spend at Marble Supply.
Trustee Varian second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye. I'll make a motion that we spend up to $800 for 304 crushed at Diana's.
I'll second that. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the other only thing I have left,
700.
I said 8, but 7 fine. I said up to 8, but 700 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever he needs for it, that's fine.
Napa, last year, we talked to them and they gave us a heck of a discount
On your filters and
on
your
all of
oil?
our filters and stuff.
Okay.
They cut that almost in half, what the original price was. They got a sale next week from the 19th to the 23rd for 40% off. And I just had them write me a quote up and I just picked it up today for all the equipment, trucks and
Filters.
everything, which came out to $1,435.99. That's covering oil filters, hydraulic filters, air filters, all that stuff.
Is that
like
their
you
sell
get.
price or
What's that?
Yeah.
is that the sell
Sale
price?
price, yeah. 1,400 sale price.
We're good on that, right, man?
Yeah, if that's all you're,
What I'm doing, trustee, I'm looking at 3 funds. We don't have permanent appropriations in place, but I'm looking at the funds that we have and what's appropriable, what's keeping us our cushion. We will be
So
okay
1,500 is gonna
for
do it.
both of those.
Trustee Fear moves not
I
to
would
exceed
think.
1,500 on filters through Napa.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Cheaper to buy a filter than buy a motor.
yeah, right.
The Mini, just so you know, I went to check about mirrors and strobe light for the top at Leppo's, and that was gonna be like over
They want your
$1,047
firstborn
for
child?
those couple things.
Okay.
So we walked out of there and went to cross-trekking and got the lights, brackets, strobe light, switch for the light, everything for about under $200.
Okay. Way to get us down. Great.
So that's it.
All right.
Boy, we spent that money quick.
And you're
didn't we?
asking them for money again. See
Spent
how
that
that
money
happened?
quick.
No,
I must
5,
like you, Stu. We spent that quick. We didn't talk about much. We spent it.
yeah, get it on
I
set.
think I heard the physical officer last meeting say, looked at you guys and wouldn't let us spend any.
I know. Just cut him off. All right. Thank you,
Well,
Stu.
what I was looking the whole time, I want to make sure we have enough money to fill the salt bin and have a cushion. I was looking at all that as you were all talking. But I kind of knew some of those numbers ahead of time. And that's nice when, I know Stu and I are here, we can talk a little bit. I know Amy, she'll talk to me about some things, and, you know, I like that when I can be prepared when you start asking, do we have the funds? I like to say yes to do these projects. But there'll be a time in October, I'll probably say no.
Okay. At least you warned us.
Zoning.
Since last meeting, had one permit issued for a garage. Over on the nuisance side, there isn't a whole lot of change. Did get a call about the Sindel property, concerned about stuff coming in again.
Okay.
So I'm gonna reach out to them once I find their number again. And see what, the plan was still have it cleaned up by spring, but I wanna make sure what's happening with it. Hill Church, they cleaned up some more of it, so it's looking a little bit better. Commission will be meeting next Monday for their February meeting. And then just an update on the noise complaint over on Johns Avenue, that was that generator. Regional planning approved their stuff, so if it ain't already gone, it should be gone soon.
Great.
Oh, that's good. That's
Oh,
quick.
good.
That's good. So they approved the permanent pole and power. Good. That's great. I'll call him. I still have his number. Just check in with him.
Good deal. That's it?
That's all I got.
Look at you
All
go.
right.
What's your government law seminar?
Oh, yeah.
That, I just received them the other day, you know, that was the other thing that the trustees usually approve for zoning people and all to go to, that government law seminar.
Okay.
Do you
What
need
do
approval?
Well, you do an approval for name your zoning personnel and any of you officers. anyone.
What's the price on that, Brian?
I apologize, and all the stuff happened. I thought I had my little brochure here with me. Did I give you one?
I have it
I
somewhere.
know I had 4 brochures, and I'm looking
Usually
through
it's
the
like
stuff, and I have it.
$25 or something.
I think.
I would just make a motion that we invite everyone on the commission, everyone on the BZA and the zoning inspector, any trustees, and even Brian, because they have an attorney there too. Any one of those who want to go, that we cover it. A lot of those people won't go, but if they,
It's so nice to offer.
so whatever the cost is, it's very minimal.
I second that motion.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Yep.
So Mary, send the invite out to them, and once you get it, send them a copy of it.
Old Township business.
I've got a couple things real quick. Maybe this falls into new. Okay. Brian and I were talking, and he and his team have been working on the paperwork. They've taken multiple boxes of non-pertinent items to the recycling bin in East Canton. Is that right, Brian?
Yes.
And
Actually, I can thank Stu for hauling them all
Stu,
up.
we saw it on your report.
Actually, his crew.
You guys hauled up there.
And
And so we currently have 3 of the U-shredded bins full, and we have 1 we think we're gonna need. So I'd like to make a motion to pay, they're 104 apiece. So I'd like to make a motion to pay the, what would it be, $416? Was my math right?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to pay $416 to have the U-shred come and pick the bins up and get them shredded.
Griffith seconds.
All in favor, aye?
Aye. And then the other one I have real quick, and I'll make it fast. I received a text message from a resident in the village. And I also, Mayor David Spencer received the message as well. I will read it quickly as not to take up too much of our time here. All right. Mr. Varian Davis, okay. Many residents are concerned about not having a yard waste facility to use anymore now that the Nimishillen Township is going to resident only by using a card access system. Canton Township went to the card access system several years ago. Can Osnaburg Township address this? If they can, Osnaburg Township can address this if they could apply for a grant for some money. Get a little wordy here. Not sure if the village could help in this situation, but residents probably need an answer as to why or why not the township would try to create a waste facility through grants. Thank you for your time. So she's asking about a waste facility in the township or the village. I responded and said I'd bring it up in the meeting. Mr. David Spencer also responded and said the village is looking into this as well. We have meetings scheduled for the next week or two to discuss options. So I'm bringing it to the table.
Well, I think it's very expensive to run that waste facility, and for the township, people have their own,
Land.
yeah, they have their own land that they,
Yeah, I would agree. I think the waste facilities I've seen are very labor heavy, by way of having to keep it clean and keep
Yep.
trash out of it, having front
Takes the
loader
person
running.
almost be there pushing up all the time as they bring stuff in.
well, and you have to keep it gated because
Mhm.
commercial people come and dump in there.
That's
All right.
another
So
problem I know.
we brought it to the table. Let's see what the village is looking to do. I'll check with David Spencer on it as a follow-up. Okay, that's all I have for that. Thank you.
So we're done with the yard waste.
We're still in old business, right?
Yeah, we're still going business. I guess that was new. I'm sorry.
You have anything else?
I have nothing else. I'm done.
New business?
I just had one thing, and that was we have that upcoming Health Department annual meeting, and Randy, you are the designee, so I'm reminding you it's March 7th.
Where, you know
At
what
the
the
health
time is?
department.
Yeah, I've been there. Do you know what time it starts? I think I don't remember. I can look it up if you.
Trustee,
It's probably 7, but
I give you copies of this 911 compliance.
We have
Yeah,
this. We have
7
this.
o'clock,
and this.
Randy.
That's fine.
Is
Up
one
7?
911?
7 o'clock and go to door 2.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. I can't remember if I did or not.
Yeah, I went to that last year. That was kinda
The
interesting.
last thing I'll add is that I called Brian while he was down at the convention, asked him to go into the vendor display area, pick me up some more of all the playground gym stuff. Because I have a packet from last year and I want to match it up with this.
Great.
So he brought me back 3 different vendors.
Perfect.
Oh, before I forget, I have a surveyor or appraiser doing an appraisal on the
Sucos?
Sucos building, that little,
The
just
little
to see
brick building.
what it's worth right now. They've done appraisals for other townships and villages, and they are doing it pro bono, no charge.
That's a great.
Who's the appraiser?
Eastern Ohio Appraisal Service.
Free is nice.
That ain't why I approached it. They just told me that after the fact, that they would
Good.
do it for free. So
Great.
hopefully we should have that back by next meeting. All right, so go ahead with the Stark County 911, Brian.
We received a letter in here. It was addressed to President Piro here, board president. And I can abbreviate on this. It's time for them to create the new 911 program review committee must be formed and must meet annually. The 6 members must be, and then it goes on to say one of those members, it says a member of the board of township trustees selected by the majority of the boards of township trustees in a county pertinent to the resolution. So they even gave you a copy of the resolution. I want to read that and have you all decipher it. If that means that every township picks one person from each township, or are we picking, voting to pick one?
I think the county picked the person and they're asking you to approve it.
Well, that's,
Isn't that John Sabo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm understanding that one correctly.
It says board has reviewed the recommendation for John Sabo from Plain Township, member of the 911 program.
Well, didn't he used to be also
I
a fire
got
chief?
this. You keep that.
I don't know. Was he? I
thought
know the
he
name.
was.
Was he the fire chief?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Now therefore be resolved, the board of. So we just need to complete this, Brian. It looks like we're gonna write it in Osnaburg Township, and we're gonna say the board hereby selects John Sabo of Plain Township to become the mesma. We literally just complete this per,
Trustee Piero moves to accept the resolution from the county commissioners to accept the nomination for Mr. Sabo's appointment to the Board of Townships on the committee.
trustee Varian second.
All those in favor, aye.
Hi.
Is that a roll call on it? or anything?
Roll call,
Okay. Griffith,
Yes,
Varian,
Yes,
Piero.
yes.
and then you have to give it a resolution number.
yeah, we give it a resolution.
Should we sign it?
It'll be 24-105.
24-105?
Okay. If you're gonna sign that one, Randy, is it the president? Okay. You can write it in there, because I can have it typed in the rest of it.
You said 24-105?
Yes, 24-105.
All right, 24. Let me borrow your black pen. I'm using a blue tonight here. Thanks to Stu. 20,
What was the resolution, Brian?
24-105.
105.
I didn't realize that was. Oh, it's fine. I didn't have a pen
You're
coming in.
gonna
You
have to
saved me.
authorize the rest of it. There's that done.
Okay, that's done.
Okay. Now we got this other letter for Senate Bill 52. Is that the,
Commissioners.
thing about the commissioners? Everybody should have a copy.
Yeah, for the wind and the solar.
Right.
Oh, same thing. They gave us a resolution already typed out, huh?
Well, we have to decide what we want.
Oh, prohibit construction of.
And it, but well, the one thing they didn't make clear was, like on the wind or even the solar, it says a large.
Large wind farm.
We don't
What
have to do
defines
this,
a
right?
large?
You need, well, no, you need to discuss it about looking at and research until, because you have until,
All right, everybody's got a copy.
Yeah.
Let's take it home.
All right.
Everybody
We need
take a
to know
look
how
at it.
much is a large.
What
It
is
says
large?
April 30th, it needs to be done.
Well, I'm
That's
just saying,
interesting.
let's all take it home and
All right.
review it,
Yeah.
and do some, our own review on it, and we'll talk.
And why
It
are they
doesn't,
lumping them both
it doesn't
together?
say 50 acre or more wind farm. You know, it's just, you're right, large.
So I don't want a super huge windmill, like
Yeah.
sits up on Lake Erie.
Right.
But-
Oh, yeah.
I would probably be okay with some solar panels, not
Mm-hmm.
a million.
Mhm.
I've been getting called weekly on solar farms.
Have you really?
I've got some calls from New Township people, right?
Wow, wow.
Just trying to find your stance, and I haven't found anybody yet that's in support.
Yeah.
They're all been against farms. They don't have
Right.
problems with people having solar panels.
It's the solar
They
farm.
don't
It's
want.
the, that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
what is a large?
Yeah, what
Is
is
that gonna
large?
stop somebody from having 4 or 5 solar panels outside their house?
Yeah.
What makes it large?
We just gotta make sure we get the wording right.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
drug testing.
Yeah, Trustee Griffith always passes me on the information about our, like when we're gonna renew and all. And one of the things that I looked into when I was doing this is, number one, we're in what's called a random DOT consortium, which is what we're in now. And we have our 2 CDL full-time drivers involved with that.
Mhm.
Now, with this, I did talk to this fellow, and I can't remember what his name was on here. He's actually the nurse that oversees this. And I just asked him if the trustees would ask, we have part-time guys that are CDL and not. He says, no, he says, whoever name you want on there,
Oh, okay.
you can pick. He says, you just need to do that and give them warning, that they're on there. But that puts I don't want to make that decision, or I can't make that decision. The board has to decide, because this is the first time we had full-time, part-time guys working all the time every week. And if their name should be in that pool along with our full-time guys. Now, we don't have a random pool drug-free workplace policy.
Mhm.
So we went in the consortium as the small companies of what they suggest, and that's what we've been in. You can still do that at any worker that drives truck under the DOT type testing, which checks for alcohol and drugs. It's a 10-panel check. And why I'm asking you to look into this is that it's $250 to renew this. I need to update the names that are in there. If I just leave our 2 full-time guys, or do we put our part-time guys in there? If anyone's that I know is just going to be seasonal, he said, well, a lot of the townships put seasonal people in when they're in the pool, and then when they're out, they pull them out because I think it's a quarterly letter that gets sent out, and they pull them in and do this
I
quarterly.
think that's quarterly.
Yeah. I just need input.
So as long as they're in the pool, they could randomly get checked.
Yeah,
Yes.
even if they're part-time.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you might say, what about a guy like John Parker? Well, he's not in here consistently. He just hits and miss, helps us out. A guy like Scott Sanders, we just hired.
Yeah.
They're just in here. But your guys like Mike and Bernie are in here consistently every week now under the part-time
Right.
status.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you want, a motion?
Well, I just didn't know you want to discuss it or if you feel okay with putting them in their names in the pot. Because I think we need to let those.
I mean, I
guys
feel like
do it.
it's, if they're here on a regular basis, even though they're part-time, I think it's the fair thing to do.
Yeah.
If these guys have to do it, being full-time drivers, I think it's probably the right thing to do.
I wouldn't want to do our temp drivers.
No, I agree.
No, yeah, not like.
I would say,
Scott or.
I would say
Sometimes
Mike
I
and,
think we should do some of the fire departments,
Mike
like
and
sometimes
Bernie.
they keep wrecking
yeah,
vehicles,
really.
but I
And you said it and I agree. I'm not
I
lying.
mean, I could think of quite a few times that they put things in the ditches.
Right now.
And they weren't big things.
Well, another thing I will throw in the pot, I don't know if any of you are aware, but we had some injuries in our road department reported. Nothing that we lost time on, just little nicks and bumps and things like that happening. It's not a bad idea to keep on a be safety and be
Yeah,
safe and
absolutely.
keep doing that. So think about
Absolutely.
that also.
Well,
And we had that in the fire department.
does
too.
the motion need to say that the part-time, the regular scheduled part-time guys that are not temps
Yeah, let me just.
would be
read
added
that
in?
if it's
Is that what you'd
there.
like to say?
Well, while you're thinking about that,
Yeah.
at some point, do we offer some driver's training for those large vehicles?
That's what they were doing when they
That's
left
what
it.
they're supposed to do. Be
That's
doing.
what they were doing. They were driver training. That's why it went in the old ditcherooski.
Do you-
I
do you-
will never
Yeah, it
understand
just would be a resolution. It doesn't say anything in here. It just says who we choose. I don't want to be the one.
I
that
think it
sets
needs to
the-
go in our policy book
Yeah.
though. So I think we need a resolution
Okay.
that regular part-time people will also be included, not specific names, but just all full-time and all regular part-time.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I second it. All those in favor, aye?
Aye. That's good. I think that's good.
Only thing I got left is security breach.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if all of you knew it, but on January 10th, and why I'm going to give you some information here. I'm always watching that, whether it was on Sue's computer, my computer, we're live on the website. I know Mary, she gets on our, website checks. We're updating zoning books and things like that. Stu might check weather, but he gets a few emails. So what we had happen is on January the 10th, we had a email that come in that was clicked on that shot in 19,000 emails into our system. Now,
Okay.
it's so tricky. They can't tell which one it was that did it, but it happened on January 10th. And GoDaddy, that has our domain, and along with Microsoft, they have flags up. When they see something like that, they shut it down because they know somebody's tried to get in. Now, this was on just emails. It wasn't in our whole system. So you could receive emails, but you couldn't send emails. So it shut down the office. We couldn't communicate with our vendors like HILLVALE unless pick up the phone and talk to somebody. So anyhow, with that being said, I immediately called Phil. He came out, kind of an emergency situation. he got everything back clear, that we had everything clear, and that's when he talked to GoDaddy. We determined when it happened, because first thing GoDaddy does is they want to know who had access to the computers, which it was either Sue, and keep in mind, I'm not blaming anybody, but hers gets forwarded to my email. So I saw something happen, but they had already shut it down as soon as I saw it. So it's so tricky how they do this stuff. And as far as Stu or zoning, I didn't see anything come through. It came into my computer and Sue's computer. So with that being said, once you got GoDaddy in there and cleaning it up with Philip, you had a waiting game. 48 hours, 72 hours. Well, Microsoft had to go through their waiting game. So after we went through that, I got on a phone. It took 7 days, and I had Phil come back. We went through everything, and what they all recommended, you had to go through extra security to get on your emails now, which I passed this information to our fire department and talked to Dan, Dan, Dale, and Tom Ruskin and Amy. And you have to go through a two-step authorization. And I think everybody probably is familiar with that. And I got Stu and did I do anything with you yet, Mary?
Mhm.
Yeah. Everybody seems to embrace it and knows and understands it, but basically it's there that your computer, if you're sitting at it, you might have to do it one time, but within 14 days, it's going to ask you again. Or if you move your computer to a different location, it's going to ask you for it. And this is one of the things that they wanted to see us do. So we started turning that on. Philip, I know, had a few hours of time. I don't have a bill or nothing from him, but he came in a few hours one day and about 4 hours another day to help me get this back up and running.
Okay.
So I know there's going to be a bill coming. I also asked Philip while he was here, I got to work with him. I know this is a year that Windows 11 needs brought into the picture for 2025 and what we needed to do. So he's working at price up. He suggested the secretary computer, he feels he can clean it and put Windows 11 into that, but he suggested that to be the backup computer, maybe go to road department, because road don't really use it intensely like zoning or the office would. He suggested both zoning and the office computer be the newer computers. I have a computer that I have my backups and things on that I use for all the minutes that I take offsite, onsite, wherever I'm working on them. But he's going to do that for me with just an upgrade, because it can be done with external hard drive, or I'm sorry, a solid base hard drive along with an external hard drive. But just to let you trustees know, I'm looking at this with two new computers and all, there's going to be a cost coming up around $300 to $3,500, I think. But this is all part of the cybersecurity the state auditor's office wants us to be involved with, because they don't want to keep warning me as a fiscal officer and not relaying it to everybody that works here, whether it's the fire department, because I never got to talk to Amy. The fire department's computers, I don't know where they're at, if they need all updated. So I need to at least evaluate it, because this is something we're going to have to look at doing at least every 4 or 5 years. I think my computer is UAN, supplied by the maintenance contract. When I was down there, my computer and printer gets replaced next year in 2025. Mine's good to go through the new year.
Okay.
But that's part of our maintenance payments we pay. That'll just happen.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to let you know, this was hard for me to do my business in here
Without email.
for 2 weeks. And it was hard for Sue and I know it really messed up fire department and I communication, because Dale Nelson, Dan Adams, and I email stuff when they're trying to get stuff. It was really, I mean, I don't want to say, oh, now it'll never happen again, but I think I want to educate everybody on how it happened. It came in through emails. And 2 of the emails that were in question were emails that were group emails.
Yeah.
The email come in with like 100 and some people on it. Well, I knew Sue was real good at this, and I was. When we see that, we always respond to one person that we know we're getting. Or we pick up the phone and call them, make sure this is legit. I had last year, one request for a direct deposit change on it. It was from Amy. It looked everything. I mean,
Yeah,
I thought it was just, and
it was
thank
fishing.
you, Brian, for what all you do. And I thought, Amy never says that.
Yeah, that's not right.
I mean, she says thank you, but
Yeah,
not the
right.
way that
Right.
was.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and Amy, first thing she says,
not me.
no. And we're not.
Hackers popping.
So these are the kind of things these guys are tricking.
Oh,
trying to do.
absolutely.
So, and I know, Brenda and Mary and Cliff, Randy, you guys are on computers, they're out there trying to get in. So I had Bill on our website, quit giving all the emails to the office computer. That we get hit on that a lot with people. For example, I had one today, actually I had 4 today, but I also had 4 that were bogus ones that I won't click on, but they're all coming to me first instead of going to Sue's computer because I'm just studying them as they come in. It's like every day I get hundreds of emails in not my personal, in the governmental stuff trying to trick me. My personal one, I do get a bunch of them too, which all of you might get, but it's like they're trying to trick you to click on something all the time. So
That's a shame. You have to do
I don't want
that.
to, I can't emphasize enough, we need to stay up with this technology. Even though it is a cost, but we don't want to compromise any of this information. The trust, the township residents have been trusted in us and especially records and things like that. I think that's all I had as an add-on. If anybody else.
Let's adjourn and pay bills.
Second.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Hopefully that maturity is not that high. Give me the right answer.
Question.
I give him,
Do you remember when we talked about the radios?